Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious summer by this sun of York, and all the clouds that lured upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. Peace be to all our fears. This is the story of the Yamaks, a word that means handsome boys. They were the chosen ones, picked to be the lovers of men in the Ottoman Empire. His days were spent honing his skills in poetry, music, and calligraphy, preparing him for his future role as a professional lover. The Ottoman sultans and the members of the imperial court kept harems, which included female concubines, and also male concubines called eunuchs in English-speaking countries. They represented the height of male elegance and beauty, and having a yamak was a sign of refined taste and sophistication, and the most desirable of them were those who were said to have the charisma and charm to win over even the most jaded members of the court. Tahir was a young Turk, and Tib was a Georgian prince captured by Christian nobles. The two met in the palace and fell deeply in love. By the 18th and 19th centuries, Western ideas began to penetrate the Ottoman Empire, bringing with them stricter moral codes and a different understanding of sexuality. In 1858, the Ottoman Penal Code was reformed. This new code criminalized consensual same-sex relationships. Overnight, what was once tolerated and accepted became punishable by law. The push for these reforms came mainly from two sources. The suppression of male beloveds led to a loss of cultural richness and diversity. And sometimes love isn't just about two people. It's about challenging the norms, defying the expectations, and standing up for what you believe in, even in the face of impossible odds. The story of Tahir and Tib serves as a beacon of hope, a reminder that love can be a powerful force for change in the darkest of times. The beauty and sophistication that once characterized the Ottoman Empire was diminished by the imposition of rigid moral standards. If you've ever wondered about the royal harems of the Ottoman Empire, we've got the perfect series for you. Click here to start watching. Looking at the past through the lens of today can lead to misunderstandings, and celebrate the indomitable spirit of those who dared to dream of a world beyond the confines of their gilded cages. As we reflect on the legacy of the Yamaks, let their stories serve as a guiding light, illuminating the path towards a more inclusive, compassionate, and understanding future. May their voices continue to resonate, inspiring us to question societal norms, champion human rights, and fight for a world where love knows no bounds, and beauty is celebrated in all its myriad forms. What we see as love, respect, and equal partnership would have been seen differently then. Back then, it was all about power, influence, and control. That's how things worked. First, Western missionaries eager to convert Muslims saw homosexuality as something to be stamped out. And second, some Ottoman intellectuals influenced by Western thought viewed homosexuality as incompatible with their religion and civilization. In the face of adversity, the Yamaks found solace and strength in each other, forging unbreakable bonds that defied the constraints of their world. Through their art, their wit, and their unwavering support for one another, they created a community that offered them a semblance of freedom and self. Despite the challenges they faced, the Yamaks persevered, ensuring that their stories, though buried beneath layers of shame and silence, continue to echo through the corridors of history. Their romance blossomed despite the odds, but their happiness was short-lived. Many chose to convert to Christianity rather than submit to these demands. With the legalization of persecution, the memory of male beloveds disappeared from public life. Western powers criticized the Ottomans for their perceived backwardness and immorality. Homosexuality was seen as a sign of decadence, and needed to be addressed for the empire to be seen as modern and progressive. The Ottoman leadership, eager to appease Western powers and avoid unwanted interference, began to adopt Western norms and values. This included outlawing male-male relationships, which were seen as incompatible with Western ideas of morality and civilization. Poems, portraits, and oral histories were lost, destroyed, or hidden away. It was as if their very existence was erased. As soon as their relationship was discovered, Tib was sold to a harem, where he endured a horrific fate. The once vibrant culture of love and desire was replaced by shame, silence, and persecution. But why would anyone want to change a system that was working? Why risk upsetting the delicate balance of power and tradition? To save himself from his captors, Tahir had no choice but to buy Tib back. However, even after their reunion, they knew that their love was forbidden, and they would always live under the shadow of suspicion. In many cases, the Yamaks became close companions and confidants of the sultans and courtiers, sharing intimate moments and creating deep emotional bonds. However, the nature of their relationship was still unequal and transactional. No matter how close they might get, the Yamak was still a possession, a thing to be admired and used as desired by the man he belonged to. Male-male relationships were not uncommon in the Ottoman Empire. The focus was not on the partners' genders, but on the roles they played. An active dominant role was seen as more masculine, while a passive submissive role was seen as more feminine. This allowed for some degree of fluidity in sexual expression. Some men had harems of both male and female lovers, while others had only one beloved throughout their life. The Ottomans did not conceptualize love in terms of modern sexual identities or orientations. Instead, they saw it as a dynamic of power and submission, a game of domination and control. But this term eunuch has a very negative connotation, because people associate it with castration. So we're going to use the term Yamak, which literally translates to handsome boy. You may think that this is a tale as old as time, that it's always been this way. He converted to Christianity so he could marry Tib in a church. This conversion shows how sincere their love was, how they were willing to go to any lengths to be together. After getting married, they fled to Venice, where Tib could safely live as a nobleman. This story of forbidden love is just one example of the complexities of desire and relationships in the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans ruled over a vast and diverse empire that stretched from the Balkans to the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. When they went to war, it wasn't uncommon for them to take captives, and sometimes these captives were young boys. These captives would then be brought up in the palace alongside other boys who were born free, learning the arts of seduction, poetry, politics, philosophy, and everything required to entertain the Sultan. But it hasn't. This was an institution, a structure born out of the particularities of one place and time, and its story will surprise you. In the bustling heart of Istanbul, within the labyrinthine walls of the Topkapi Palace, lived a boy named Tahir. These boys were usually taken from impoverished families or better-off families whose sons had been captured during conflicts. Though the Yamaks were considered to be commodities, objects of desire and refinement, their lives were far from ideal. Yes, they were pampered, dressed in fine clothes and living in luxury, but they were also trapped in a gilded cage. They could never leave the palace, and the Sultan, or the courtiers who bought their services, could demand their presence at any given moment. Every single action was controlled. It was almost like being a slave. However, the Yamaks played an important role in Ottoman culture and society. It was common for the Yamaks to have multiple partners. One of the most famous tales from this era is the story of Tahir and Tib. In the end, they decided to escape. Before leaving, Tahir took a drastic step. Sadly, these kinds of love stories did not last. The effects of this reform were devastating. Male beloveds were persecuted, driven out of the cities, banished from the empire, or forced into marriages with women. Over time, the story of Tahir and Tib, like so many others, faded into obscurity. As the Ottoman Empire interacted with the West, it was inevitable that different ideas and values would come into contact. In hindsight, it's clear that this was a grave mistake. Nevertheless, stories like Tahir and Tib remind us that love can blossom anywhere and at any time. Yet the story of the Yamaks is not merely a tale of love and desire, but also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Their narratives serve as a potent reminder of the complexities of human experience, urging us to challenge our assumptions about the past. Embrace the fluidity of love and remember, you don't need to be an expert to watch expert pics.